In Boston's tranquil Maplewood neighborhood, one instant destroyed a woman's life. Elizabeth Collins believed she had it all: a devoted husband, a rewarding profession. Yet in the privacy of their own home, a family's malevolence was brewing. This is about a betrayal so chilling, it shattered her heart. And a woman who emerged from the embers to fight back. The early fall sunlight streamed through the tiny house on Maplewood Lane. Elizabeth Collins sat at the living room window, a manuscript of a children's book in front of her. Her brown hair with hints of gray reflected the sunlight, but her eyes were pinched. 10 years working as an editor at Northern Books had made her proud, bringing stories to life that brought people joy. Today, though, her heart was weighty, agitated. "Richard, what time do you come home tonight?" She called her husband, her tone gentle but strained. "About 7, I think. Big meeting today." Richard's response echoed from the kitchen, breathless as he slurped coffee. His angular jaw and sleekly barbered hair screamed success in his crisp white shirt and tailored navy blue suit. The executive at Morrison Real Estate. But in recent times, his warmth had diminished, to be substituted by a remote edge. Elizabeth smiled stiffly. "Don't forget my hormone injection. You okay?" Richard's voice blended concern with irritation, a familiar sting. 7 years they'd been trying to conceive, their college ideal of globe-trotting long forgotten. 3 years of fertility treatment had brought nothing but a physician's evasive words. Unexplained infertility. "I'm fine." Accustomed to it, Elizabeth replied, her smile hiding the hurt. Richard swooped down on his briefcase, hardly looking at her. "See you tonight." The door shut behind him, and there was silence. Elizabeth gazed at the maple trees swaying outside, children's laughter barely audible. The Morrisons, Richard's family, hung over their marriage like a specter. His father, Harold, a hard-nosed real estate magnate, wielded an iron fist. His mother, Grace, Boston's social queen, her charity functions hiding a judging eye. Victoria, Richard's sister, the Iron Lady of Morrison Real Estate, incisive and unbending. But only Bradley, his younger brother, an internist, treated Elizabeth with true kindness. Judgment was rendered by the Morrisons from the beginning. "Beth's just an editor for a small press," Grace would say, her smile slicing. "She'll turn to family next." Elizabeth's career, her love, was waved away as insignificant. Her background, a high school teacher father, a grandmother who brought her up, wasn't right for the Morrisons' bloodline. She'd heard Grace once on the phone. "She's not one of us." Victoria was worse, her queries pointed. "Beth, do editors receive raises?" Her smile was a veneer during Christmas and Thanksgiving lunches. Richard used to stand up for Elizabeth. "They're just like that," he'd say, holding her. But recently he's taken their side. "Mother's concerned about the family name," he'd say. "Victoria doesn't intend to hurt anybody." Every excuse sounded colder, as if he were receding. The tension intensified when the fertility treatment started. "The Morrisons require a robust heir," Grace would lament, her tone full of accusation. Victoria boasted 2 kids, her career booming. "I juggle everything," she'd remark, looking over at Elizabeth. Elizabeth channeled her sorrow into her stories, crafting tales of hope. But by herself, she was acutely aware of their disapproval, her childless marriage a disappointment to them. On her birthday morning, Richard had pressed a small gift box into her hand. "Happy birthday, love. Let's do it tonight." He kissed her cheek, a passing warmth. Elizabeth opened the box. A slender silver bracelet. She smiled, but his hasty departure left her feeling empty. While she worked editing a manuscript on the sofa, her phone rang. Grace Morrison's name flashed, an unusual sight. Elizabeth hesitated, then answered. "Happy birthday, dear." Grace's voice was unusually bright. "We're celebrating tonight at Chateau Bloom, 7 o'clock. The whole family." Elizabeth froze. Chateau Bloom was Boston's most exclusive French restaurant, far beyond her world. Grace had never acknowledged her birthday like this. "That's so kind, but..." No modesty, Elizabeth. Or family. Grace's tone was firm. Richard's handling something else, so come straight there. The call ended, leaving Elizabeth stunned. Why the sudden generosity? Why without Richard? There flashed a glimmer of hope. Perhaps the Morrisons were relenting. But skepticism persisted, cold and biting. She phoned Richard, her tone hesitant. Your mother invited me to Chateau Bloom. Is this all right? Yeah, I heard. His tone was strained, preoccupied. She's trying to meet you halfway. I'll catch up later. Enjoy it. Elizabeth felt increasingly uneasy. Something wasn't quite right, but she brushed it off. She selected a black cocktail dress. Its lace trim sophisticated. The diamond chain Richard had given her years ago shone when she pinned her hair up. In the mirror, she saw a woman struggling to keep her grip. It'll be okay, she whispered. Fresh start. Chateau Bloom's stone exterior glowed in soft light. A doorman in uniform greeted her, air thick with money. The manager, a middle-aged man in a high polish, bowed almost imperceptibly. Mrs. Morrison. This way. He guided her by the elegant dining room, chandeliers throwing golden light. Impressionist paintings graced the hallways, their beauty chilly. Here's your table, he said, opening the door to a private room. Elizabeth entered, her heart falling. The room was vacant. A white linen-covered round table had roses and 7 glasses of champagne on it. But no one was present. Excuse me, has the family not arrived? She asked, perplexed. The manager scowled. The Morrisons are here. Wait a moment. He walked away, shutting the door. Elizabeth's eyes landed on a small envelope on the table. Her name written in elegant script by Grace. Her fingers shook as she opened it. 2 pieces of paper slipped out. One was divorce papers, Richard's signature stark and bold. The other was a note in Grace's handwriting. Happy birthday. The infertile defect must go. Without you, Richard can have a real family. A third letter in Richard's scribble. I require an heir for the Morrisons. You cannot do it with me. Left. Goodbye. Elizabeth's world fell apart. Her eyes clouded, tears scalding. The papers fell to the ground, her knees trembling. 7 years of marriage. Over in a cold, empty room. The Morrisons orchestrated this. Grace, Victoria, Richard. Her birthday was their heartless platform. She collapsed into a chair, the rose's fragrance taunting her grief. But under the pain, a spark of fury flared. They believed she was broken. They were mistaken. The atmosphere in Chateau Bloom's private room was choking, thick with betrayal. Elizabeth collapsed into a chair, her fingers running over the wedding ring she'd worn for 7 years. The image of Richard placing it on her finger, promising all things, seared her brain. Now those vows were ash, signed divorce papers, Grace's vicious note burning. The infertile defect has to go. Tears burned, but another feeling awakened. A small one at first, then fierce, anger. Grace's words, Richard's abandonment, selecting her birthday as the day for this cruelty. It was unforgiving. Elizabeth stood, drying her tears. Defect. Her tone was gentle but steel. She called out for the waiter, her fingers firm. A young waiter came over. How can I assist, madam? Who is paying for this evening? She inquired, her voice cool but sharp. Mr. Morrison's credit card, prepaid. The waiter nodded. The smallest smile curved Elizabeth's lips. In that event, serve me the best dinner course and your best champagne. For one. The waiter blinked but obeyed. Course. Elizabeth sat, breathing the rose's perfume, their loveliness now a challenge. She stuffed the divorce papers into her bag. This isn't the end, she breathed. It's the beginning. The champagne was served, bubbles frolicking in the glass. She gazed at them, her thoughts reeling. The Morrisons believed they had snapped her. They were mistaken. She'd make them wish they never invited her on this night. 3 months later, snowdrift on either side of Elizabeth's tiny Maplewood apartment. The divorce was quick, sterile. The Morrisons' attorney coaxed her into signing, promising a small portion of shared property. She didn't protest, didn't seek out a lawyer, didn't confront Richard. All of it was done through intermediaries. No regrets, no endings. 7 years of marriage, annihilated like a dream. Elizabeth took a sip of coffee, gazing at an envelope on her kitchen table. Miss Elizabeth Collins. She'd gone back to using her maiden name, dropping the Morrison baggage. The envelope, from a Situate law firm on Cape Cod, had come yesterday. She hadn't opened it, fear and curiosity fighting within her. Her phone rang, returning her to the present. Jennifer, a friend from Northern Books, her voice friendly. "Beth, you okay? We miss you at the publishing house." "I'm fine, Jen. Just taking a break." Elizabeth smiled, moved. Jennifer was among the few who'd been loyal to her. "Return soon. Your manuscripts are magic." Following the call, Elizabeth stood facing the envelope. She breathed deeply and ripped it open. "Dear Miss Elizabeth Collins, we write to you in relation to the fulfillment of your grandmother Edith Collins's will." Her heart skipped a beat. Edith, the woman who'd brought her up as her mother, had passed away 5 years ago. Elizabeth believed she had only a small savings account and reminders as inheritance. But the letter told more. Edith had had secret investments begun early, built into a fortune. $8 million in trust, named Elizabeth, her sole grandchild. The stipulation: it could not be revealed until she reached the age of 35. Elizabeth dropped the letter, her hands trembling. $8 million. Was it true? The lawyer's signature, the papers, they were genuine. The following day she went to Situate, the ocean air crisp. Jonathan Fisher, a soft-spoken gray-haired man, welcomed her to his office. Edith was brilliant, he declared. She invested quietly, lived modestly, never advertised it. "Why didn't she tell me?" Elizabeth asked, her voice tiny. "Not when I married, not in college." Jonathan chuckled. "Edith wanted you to create your own life, untroubled by wealth's shadow. The 35-year condition shielded your marriage from manipulation." Elizabeth's mind spun. If she'd known, would Grace have sneered less? Would Richard have remained? No, she thought. Their cruelty was their nature, not her worth. She told Jonathan. Grace's note, Richard's betrayal, the Morrisons' disdain. He listened, his eyes kind. "You have a chance to start again, Elizabeth. Edith wanted your happiness." Weeks later, Elizabeth did something bold. She went to Dr. Sarah Chen, a reproductive specialist in Boston, for a second opinion on her infertility. Dr. Chen examined her records, her face serious. "Elizabeth, there's nothing wrong with you. The problem was Richard's. Low sperm count, poor motility, congenital." Elizabeth stiffer. "But we were informed it was me." Dr. Chen's voice gentled. "Your former doctor should have told you. Male infertility can be difficult to hear, particularly in families with pride fetishes." Elizabeth's blood turned icy. Richard was aware. The Morrisons were aware. They'd let her take the fall, labeling her defective in order to save face. In rage rose, so did liberation. She wasn't damaged. They were. Her plan for revenge coalesced, silent but vicious. The Morrisons lived off their name, their standing. She'd demolish it with her new money and honesty. Spring came, and Elizabeth took action on her aspiration. She leased an antique stone structure in Beacon Hill and opened Edith's bookshelf, a children's bookshop named for her grandmother. The intimate setting, with sofas and multicolored shelves, was her haven. Her publishing ties attracted area writers for the opening, a modest yet affectionate reception. Children giggled in the reading nook, their laughter healing her. She read a newspaper article one night. Morrison real estate was collapsing. The COVID pandemic had frozen the market, and Harold's venture had accumulated debt. Borrowed money pushed the business to the edge. Richard had lost his executive position, looking for work. Rumors circulated that he'd intended to marry another socialite, but her family cancelled as the Morrisons went under. Elizabeth felt no sympathy. The past was behind her. But she wasn't finished. She'd reveal their deceptions, not only to Boston, but to their upper echelon. Grace's galas, Victoria's Iron Lady image. They'd constructed their empire upon reputation. Elizabeth would destroy it. She sat down with Jonathan once again, her scheme unfolding. "I want to pay for a women's health program," she explained. "Free fertility screenings, anonymous results, to reveal concealed truths." Jonathan nodded. Edith would adore that. The savvy, public, powerful. Elizabeth's eyes sparkled. The Morrisons would face whispers. Richard's infertility, their cruelty, all laid bare. She'd use her bookstore as a platform, hosting events to amplify the cause. But she had to be careful. Richard might suspect her moves. A cryptic email arrived that week. "You'll regret crossing us." No sender, but it screamed Morrison. Elizabeth's heart raced, but she saved it. Evidence. At Edith's bookshelf, a man named Michael Adams appeared one evening. Graying hair, gentle smile, holding science books for his nephew. "I'm looking for space-themed stories," he said. Elizabeth guided him, their talk easy. He was a cardiac surgeon at Boston General, kind and curious. "I'm writing a medical book," he admitted. "But explaining it to regular people is tough." "I'm an editor," Elizabeth offered. Could help. Their talks grew, from books to life. She shared her divorce, the Morrisons' betrayal. Michael listened, no judgment. "You're stronger than you think," he said. Elizabeth smiled, a glimmer of hope. But her scheme remained keen. The Morrisons would pay, not in violence but in truth. She'd start anew, and they'd see their world disintegrate. Elizabeth was tallying accounts in Edith's bookshelf when a knock broke her concentration. "Come in." The door creaked open to reveal Richard. His smooth confidence was lost. His face pale, eyes circled with exhaustion. He appeared older, worn, a shadow of the man she'd wedded. "Elizabeth, may I speak to you?" His voice trembled, uncertain. Her heart skipped, but she composed herself. "What do you desire, Richard?" Her voice was calm, firm. He entered in, shutting the door. "I was in the wrong. That evening, your birthday, I allowed Mother and Victoria to control me. Sorry." His eyes fell, shame writing his face. Elizabeth did not reply, watching. She'd never seen him so broken. "The company's falling apart," he went on, voice low. "Father's drinking, Mother's lost her friends, Victoria's ran away to Chicago. We've lost everything. And our infertility. It was me. Bradley confirmed it. Mother told me it was a shame, so I hid it. Blamed you." Elizabeth's chest constricted. Anger, grief, release. The Morrisons had scapegoated her to salvage their pride. She maintained a neutral face. "Why tell me now?" "I see it, Elizabeth. You were the best thing I had. I discarded it for their stupid pride." Her phone rang, interrupting his words. "Jessica, what?" Elizabeth replied, her voice firm. "Mrs. Morrison's here." Jessica, her secretary, was frantic. "She says Bradley's in the hospital. She needs to see you." Elizabeth looked at Richard, whose face had gone white. "What happened?" He stuttered. They sped to Massachusetts General Hospital. In the ICU, Bradley was pale, tubes trailing from his arms. Grace sat next to him, her poise lost, eyes red and hair disheveled. "Elizabeth, you came." Grace's voice was frail, stripped of its arrogance. The doctor explained. Bradley had a hereditary kidney disease, needing dialysis. A transplant was his best hope, but no family member was a compatible donor. The Morrisons carried a genetic risk, Richard included. "We've all been tested," Grace said, clutching a handkerchief. "None of us match." Elizabeth gazed at Bradley through the glass. He'd been her only ally in the Morrison family, kind when others were cruel. "How's he doing?" she asked the doctor. "Stable, but his kidneys are failing fast. Without a donor, he won't last long." The words hung heavy. The next day, Grace appeared at Edith's bookshelf, a ghost of her former self. "Please, Elizabeth," she choked out. "Test for Bradley. You're compassionate. We have no one else." Elizabeth stared at the woman who'd called her a defect. Now Grace was just a desperate mother. Why me? Elizabeth's voice was quiet, firm. Grace's eyes dropped. You're our last hope. Elizabeth's head reeled. The Morrisons had shamed her, discarded her. But Bradley did not need to die for their wrongs. She sat with Michael that night, his calm presence steadying her. This is a big decision, he told her, taking her hand. After what we did, no one would blame you for refusing. But who would I then be? Elizabeth answered quietly. I'd be like them, cold and selfish. Michael persisted as a doctor, nodding. His eyes troubled but proud. You're stronger than they ever were. Elizabeth underwent testing. The results arrived quickly. She was a compatible donor. She was able to donate part of her kidney to Bradley. The evening before the surgery, she went to his room. He smiled faintly. Why do this, Elizabeth? After everything. It's not about forgiveness, she replied truthfully. It's about doing the right thing. To Grace she was icier. This isn't for you or your family. This is my last gift. The surgery was a success. Bradley stabilized. His recovery sluggish but positive. Local media reported on Elizabeth's deed. Bookstore owner saves ex-brother-in-law's life. Edith's bookshelf became popular, with people flocking to its reading sessions. But for Elizabeth, it was closure, not celebrity. She'd acted on her conscience, cutting the Morrisons loose from her life. 2 years on, Elizabeth's life had taken a turn for the better. Michael had been her support while she recovered, his medical knowledge and gentleness unflinching. A year before, they'd wed in a small church, with Northern Books co-workers, regulars at the bookstore, and Michael's family. Elizabeth stood in an ivory dress, holding a handful of hometown wildflowers. They'd worked on her Maplewood house, opening it up and making it light. Together, they'd started a support group for infertility, combining Elizabeth's compassion with Michael's knowledge. It brought hope to dozens of couples, their tales similar to hers. 6 months earlier, they'd taken in 6-year-old twins, Emma and Sophia. The girls, formerly cautious from previous abuse, now flourished in their affection. Ready? Michael snuck a glance into the living room, smiling. Nearly, Elizabeth replied, securing pearl earrings. Her smile radiated serene happiness. Come along, girls, let's go. She called out to Emma and Sophia, beautiful in their dresses. Where are we going? Sophia asked, sparkling eyes. A special place, Elizabeth replied softly. Somewhere significant. They went to Chateau Bloom, where she used to work at the restaurant. The manager greeted them with a friendly smile. Welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Adams. As they reached the main dining room, Elizabeth saw 2 people in the corner. Grace, demure in faded glamour, and Richard, old and worn, sat in silence. Their eyes locked onto hers. Elizabeth nodded discreetly, then faced her family. Michael's hand lay on her shoulder, Emma and Sophia snickering over the dessert menu. I believed the night was over, she said to Michael. But the beginning of my true life. Grace and Richard's eyes were slow to release each other, heavy with remorse. But Elizabeth was free. The Morrisons' empire had fallen. Harold's debts, Victoria's banishment, Richard's ill-fated remarriage. Elizabeth's rescue of Bradley had revealed their hypocrisy, the news reports quietly exposing their cruelty. Her bookstore, her family, her mission, they were her victory. Late summer sunshine poured through the windows of Chateau Bloom, casting her family's smiles. Betrayal pain had tempered her strength, her empathy. This was not an ending, but a shining new beginning. Hey everybody, what a ride! Elizabeth transformed heartbreak into a legacy of love and grit. If this touched your heart, hit that like button. Comment below. Have you ever overcome a betrayal like this? Share this with someone. They need to hear it. Subscribe and hit the bell for more inspiring stories of comeback and bravery. Support us on Patreon to submit your own story ideas. Catch you in the next one.